What's good, my people? Welcome to the channel. If you're new, press that subscribe button. Now, the Euros is over. Football's not coming home. Italy have won it. Now, I just want to do the top 3 most disappointing players of the tournament. And now, when I talk about disappointment, I'm talking about the big stars, the ones that for me never stood out, the ones that for me never led the team, the one that for me were really disappointing. So we're gonna start with number 3 on this list. And yes, it is England's captain and the talisman and the main player, the guy who was supposed to lead this team, Mr. Harry Kane. Again, a great striker, scores a lot of goals. Statistically, he's been doing this thing in the Premier League for Tottenham for quite a long time now. Obviously, we know no trophies and all of that, but the reality is Harry Kane, throughout all the group games, he was poor, terrible, barely had any shots, barely had any goal. He didn't even score no goals. We know Raheem Sterling carried England basically throughout the whole majority of the tournament. Now, we know that in the round 16 against Germany, again, he was poor as well. He scored at the end and then started getting more into the game. In the quarterfinals, scored 2 goals against a very poor Ukraine side. Again, this is the reality. Ukraine are not a very good team. England beat them 4-0. Semi-finals, he got a goal again. And in the finals, anonymous. Like, 0. He made 0 attempts in 120 minutes. There's no excuses for that. I don't want to hear people say that he never got service or all that. It's absolutely nonsense. If you watched him, he kept dropping deep, trying to play that Tottenham way. It didn't work against a great Italian defensive team. But the fact that he had 0 attempts on goal, and this is the guy that's leading England, like, where was the hunger? Like, he hasn't got that personality, the character. And Lewandowski, you put him in this England team, in his mind, he's going to try and do everything he can to score. He's going to have shots. He's going to risk it, you know. But I didn't see no risk from Kane. I just saw a guy that kept coming deep, winning free kicks, spraying the balls. I don't want my number 9 to do that. So for me, he had a very disappointing tournament. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care about the 4 goals he scored. Because, again, it's all about understanding how those 4 goals came about. And understanding that he was anonymous for 3 games before he started scoring. He was again anonymous in the finals. Now, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 for me is very easy. And this guy is BRUNO Fernandes. He would have been the number 1 for me, but obviously you don't understand why I put him number 2. BRUNO Fernandes, anonymous, invisible, absolutely terrible. First game for Portugal in the group stage, shit. No impact, no creativity, nothing. Second game again, he was started again. Absolutely terrible. Portugal got battered by Germany. After that, the coach saw that, you know what? Nah, not good enough. Put him on the bench. Portugal actually started to play better. And yeah, during the whole tournament, basically. In the last game, in the round 16 when Portugal lost to Belgium, he actually came on and actually play better than he had in the previous games, but he was anonymous, he was invisible, and this is the guy, the stats man. Came to the Premier League, lay it up. You know, we know he's great at assisting, and you know he's great at scoring goals, especially penalties. But yeah, very disappointing tournament. There was high expectation on him. Everyone thought he was gonna be that guy for Portugal, but again, that guy for Portugal. Obviously, we know Cristiano scored 5 goals. And Renato Sanchez, who came and replaced BRUNO Fernandes, was absolutely great. So, BRUNO Fernandes, disappointing. Number 1. The reason this guy is number 1, listen, he's another guy. 0 goals for the whole tournament. He's supposed to be the guy that takes over from Messi and Ronaldo. You know, he's meant to be that guy. And we know already, he's got that World Cup already in the bag, where he was absolutely instrumental in that front side. This is now the time. But when during that period, during the World Cup, when the World Cup period when we won it, Griezmann was obviously the standout player in that tournament. Even though for me, Mbappé he was great. But this was his time now. He wanted that number 10 shirt for France. He wanted to be the man. He wanted to stand out. Terrible. Like he tried, you know, lost the ball so many times. Very sloppy. Sometimes decision making just wasn't there. Just a very, very poor tournament. And to make it worse for him, he wanted to be that guy. Now, France, Switzerland, the game's gone to penalty shootout. Mbappé, all the pressure's on him now to take the penalty. What did Mbappé do? Mbappé walks up to the ball, and takes a very shit penalty. But even apart from that penalty, he had a very disappointing competition for me, and he just didn't lay it up. And where Mbappe even had more advantage than you will say the Messis and the Cristianos, Mbappe was part of a French team that was actually favourites to win the whole tournament. And he had everything. He had N'Golo Kante, he had Pogba, he had Griezmann, he had Benzema, he had Varane, he had Kipembe. He had a lot of players who are world-class players. So there was no excuse. You know, where in the past we've seen Messi's had few world-class players around him, but a very poor defence and a very average midfield. Just great forwards, but you can't. It's not even like they're all playing together. Cristiano Ronaldo of Portugal in the past weren't a good team. They're a good team now, but they weren't a great side before. And Mbappe has all of these quality players around him, and he was just poor. Terrible tournament. And for me, he's number one just because he's the guy that everyone says will become the best player in the world, and he's already one of the best players in the world. So I therefore expected better from him, and he just never delivered. So that's it. So that's my top 3 worst players of the tournament. So Harry Kane, number 3, like I mentioned, he was invisible in the first 3 games for England, scored, for 3 games after that, and then was absolutely invisible in the final. And what hurt me the most is the fact that he made no attempt to shoot in the whole final of a competition. And he's had a habit of bottling finals like that as well. We've seen him in the cup final against City. We've also seen him in the Champions League final against Liverpool. And my second, Bruno Fernandes, invisible to a point where a star like him was actually dropped from the team. And then Mbappé, who had a terrible tournament, never lit it up, no goals, started off well in the first game, but then after that, just terrible. So let me know who you guys think is your worst 3 in the Euros. Like, comment, subscribe.